Hey everyone, Mr. McIntosh here, and OpenCore Legacy Patcher has a brand new version available, 1.5.0. This is a huge update ahead of the macOS 15 launch and the biggest of the year. And it changes in so many ways, from the way that the application is installed to the way the root patches are applied. In this video, we're going to go over all those changes along with the brand new uninstaller of OpenCore Legacy Patcher, the full change log of this update, which includes many improvements and bug fixes on 10 different Macs. We're going to do our full fleet of Sonoma, and we're even going to make sure that we do not forget about our older systems on Ventura, Monterey, and Big Sur. This is a big update, and you're going to definitely want to stick around for this one. Let's jump in and do it together and get started. I want to make sure that you don't get intimidated by the length of this video. Every single one of my videos includes a full chapter section, so you can just click on these timestamps to be able to go to the exact place that you need to go to for the information that you're looking for. Veteran viewers of this channel know that I do not skimp out on the information and details of this update, so I want to include everything that you're going to need to know to have a successful install. We're first going to go over the big summary items in here, the biggest changes, and then after that we're going to go over into the change log and talk about some of the bug fixes and really great improvements to the patcher. Then after that we're going to go through a live walkthrough on updating your current installation of OpenCore Legacy Patcher and do a new installation of the app so you can see the whole process. And then we're going to test our entire fleet of Macs. With the release of OpenCore Legacy Patcher 1.5.0, some noteworthy improvements are dropping. First of all, a new privilege helper tool that removes the requirement of the password prompts for installing patches or creating installers. This took a lot of work from behind the scenes to build this together. And what this does is that when the application is installed from the new package, and we're going to go over that, you are going to give an admin prompt that's going to authorize this helper tool to be able to answer those administrator prompts anytime that the application needs to use the administrator part, from mounts your EFI partition, whether it needs to create your macOS installer using create install media, or it has to install the root patches. So the entire flow of that is so much more quicker and easier, so you don't have so many of those prompts, and we're going to go over that live later. The next piece is the new package-based install distribution. This is big because this was kind of a confusing part for users when they're trying to figure out, well, wait, how do I really install this app? Do I put the app in applications? Do I have to move it to the Dotania folder? Do I even know where that is? This is going to create a easy process that's almost like any other app that you might install from a package, whether it's Microsoft Office or any app that has a package-based installer. What this is going to do is the installer is going to install all these files and put them where they belong, instead of you having to think, well, okay, I got to drag and drop the app and I got to open up the applications folder. It might not seem like a big deal, but this is going to make that whole process so much more improved, and the flow is going to be so much more efficient. In addition to that, there's now an uninstaller. So many people have said, how the heck do I uninstall OpenCore Legacy Patcher? Where are all the files located? How do I get this off my system if I want to get it removed? The package uninstaller is going to take care of those pieces for you, and we're going to go over a full walkthrough of that later in the video. We talked about this in all of our update videos. Remember, Sonoma is still in active development, and so is the patcher for Sonoma. If you want a solid system, it is still recommended to use Ventura or macOS Monterey. Not really as much Big Sur because it's no longer supported by Apple with patches and security updates. Again, there's thousands upon thousands of users on Sonoma that are running just fine. But again, until macOS 15 is released and all the focus is on that, Apple is still changing Sonoma along the update release schedule, even though it's going to start winding down pretty quickly, and hopefully we'll just move to security updates so none of the parts of Sonoma will break for the patcher anymore. I have a big part at the end of the video talking about a shout out to all of the OpenCore Legacy Patcher developers and the OpenCore Legacy Patcher Open Collective at the end of this video. Please stick around for that. It is very important to support the OpenCore Legacy Patcher developers. For the full change log, let's go over some of the fixes and changes here. First of all, there's a restructure of the project directory because the application PKG installation is 600 and something, 650 megabytes in size, and you're going to wonder, what is that and where are all these files stored? I'm going to show you where all those files are stored when we get to the walkthrough. There's also resolve and unpatching of NVIDIA web drivers failing to clean up in library library extensions. I've been following a lot of user reports, for example, 2012 to 2015 iMacs having a problem booting, the library extensions folder not being cleaned up properly. That folder should be cleaned up, and if it fails, that could cause booting problems, and this resolves that in NVIDIA web drivers. There's also a new improved check for the macOS installer creation. When you go and create that USB installer, there's been users that have been complaining about errors in creating the create install media for the 12 to 14 gigabyte full installer for Sonoma. What this does is it'll run some code pre-flight signature checks on the OS installer creation and ensures that the install media is valid before even trying to create the installer. So that's going to help prevent some of the installer problems from happening before they even get to that part. Next, I wanted to talk about the implementation of the new PKG based installer, or the package installer. I wanted to make sure you knew what each one of these are because it's very important to understand. These here are located in the release section or the assets section under OpenCore Legacy Patcher. Before, you would just saw the auto package assets. You don't want to download that. That's grabbed when it's needed. You always have previously downloaded OpenCore-Patcher GUI app.zip, and you can still do that now, but that's now a legacy installation way that's going to be removed in a future version, but it's still there just to make sure that if you are used to doing it a certain way, you can still do that. But we are now moving to the new way of installing OpenCore-Patcher.pkg. Then if you wanted to uninstall, you can download the OpenCore-Patcher Uninstaller package to remove OpenCore Legacy Patcher from your system. So that's a really great tool that you can use now, and I wanted you to understand these new assets areas. Then I want to talk about the new Privilege Helper tool. The actual Privilege Helper tool is located in the library Privilege Helper tools. This folder does not exist until you run the package installer. So if you go looking for it now, you're not going to find it until the installation is done. And again, this Privilege Helper tool will help the OpenCore Legacy Patcher app run all those administrator prompts for doing all those duties, so you don't have to type in your password every time over and over. There's also a new sanity check that is performed when you're doing the root patches, and it checks for mismatched snapshots versus root volume of macOS versions. And this is how the patcher is reverted. If you look at the OpenCore Legacy Patcher instructions, and there's instructions, and I've gone over this in previous videos, how to revert the root patches if you're having problems with an installation or a booting issue. So that's a really nice extra check before you perform that root patches. And finally, OpenCore, the binary for EFI, has been updated from 99 to full version 1.0.0, and I'll show you where that is on our Mac Pro. If you want to check the OpenCore version, you can go to Settings and then click on the App tab and then scroll down, and you can see the booted OpenCore version release 1.0.0. Previous installations was 99 or 98, for example. Okay, that covers the main features and fixes in the 1.5.0 update. Now we want to go over a live demo of updating your previous version of OpenCore Legacy Patcher to 1.5.0. Now there's multiple ways to update. Our demonstration machine here is a 17-inch late 2011 MacBook Pro. We are running 1.4.3, and you can either update by going to the GitHub and downloading the package and installing it that way, or the app, or you can use the built-in application updater. And that's what I want to use for the first step to show you how to update. The way that works is that it checks on application open and restarts. We opened this up before the update came out, but let's close it and reopen it, and we will see the 1.5.0 prompt. So we'll let that close. We'll open it up again from applications or from your docket, doesn't really matter. And we'll give it a second here, and there it is. New version of OpenCore Legacy Patcher is available. You are running 1.4.3 and 1.5.0 is available. You can view that on GitHub and look all over those changes, or dismiss it and do it later. Remind you the next time you open the application, but we're going to download it and install that right now. And there it goes, it's downloading 1.5.0. While this is downloading, let's hear from you. What do you think about the update so far? Are you planning an update? Are you excited about macOS 15 that's coming out on June 10th at WWDC? Are you going to install the beta on one of your systems? Are you going to wait? Are you still in Ventura? Are you still in Monterey? I love to read your comments in the video. Let me know how you're doing and how your unsupported machine is doing, and if you're having any problems, or if it's running great with no issue. I want to hear from all your different situations in the comments below. Okay, we're almost downloading here, and now we're going to extract the update. This is the first prompt for the helper tool. We're going to type in our password here, and there's going to be an additional prompt we'll talk about in a second. This is the additional components installation part. Makola reached out and said this is only going to happen from 1.4 and below. So once you're on 1.5.0 and a newer version, you are no longer going to get the installing additional components window. This will only be a one-time thing. We'll type in our password one more time and then hit enter. And this is for the application to package installation conversion that's happening right now. And we'll just have to wait just a second here for this to finish. The update is successful. OpenCore Legacy Patcher has been updated to the latest version of 1.5.0. Would you like to update OpenCore and your root volume patching? Now, we always talk about the 1, 2, 3. The app is updated to 1.5.0, but we have to install the latest OpenCore 1.0.0 to our EFI partition for the bootloader. The second step of the process, we'll click on yes, and we don't have any prompt after we click on this to be able to load our EFI partition. We're going to click our main hard drive and our main EFI, and then there it is. No prompt for administrator password. Really nice and smooth there. Success! Would you like to update your root patches? This is the third part of the process to get to 1.5.0 updated patches for our root patches. And we're definitely going to want to do that. Click on yes. And here's all of our available patches for this non-metal 2011 MacBook Pro. And you can see here we had our 1.4.3 installed on May 13th. We're going to start that root patching process. And there it is. The whole process is the same as before, but now it's a lot more smoother. We're going to let it do its job here, and we'll be right back. Okay, now it's rebuilding the kernel cache. This will take a second. Let's use another example. If you are on the latest version of Sonoma right now, at the time of this video, is 14.5. If you're on 14.4.1, I always recommend installing the latest version of OpenCore Legacy Patcher first before updating, just to make sure that there's no problems with the patcher itself on your system. The last thing you want to do is install and the update together, and then if something goes wrong, you're like, well, wait a minute, was it the 14.5 update or was it OpenCore? If you install the OpenCore update before the 14.5 update and you have a problem, you know it might have to do with something with the patches, and you can troubleshoot there. Then if everything goes fine, then you can update to 14.5. The root patches that have finished successfully, let's reboot to finalize the installation. Restart. And we are back on our desktop with 1.5.0 installed on this late 2011 MacBook Pro 17-inch. That was a really nice and smooth update process, and it really prepares these systems before macOS 15 hits, because a lot of the development work for the developers is going to go towards making macOS 15 work properly with the patcher. So this is a really great update to all these systems before all that development work starts to change here. Now that that upgrade of OpenCore Legacy Patcher process, where we let the application update itself, is complete, I now want to go over how to download the package installer and install it the manual way. Like, for example, you're doing a new install or you wanted to update the package way. Let's move on to that, and then we'll talk about the uninstaller to uninstall OpenCore Legacy Patcher. Okay, for this demonstration, we are going to download the brand new package installer and show you how to upgrade a previous installation or update or install for a new installation of OpenCore Legacy Patcher. All we need to do is go to the OpenCore Legacy Patcher GitHub, and remember, this is the only source for software. There's been some websites pop up here and there that show that you can download OpenCore Legacy Patcher. Do not download from any other site than this site right here. This is the only true source. So we'll go to the releases area, and then we're going to scroll down here again, and we talked about this earlier in the video. Remember, this is the app in a zip file. That's the now legacy way to install, and this will remove soon. Here's the uninstaller for the new package, and this is the new way to install. So we're going to download the PKG installer, and we're going to click allow, and it's going to start to download the full package installer. Okay, it's downloaded. I want to show that we're running the old version here. So we'll open up and show that we're running 1.4.3 on the system, but we're not going to do the upgrade because we already did that in the previous chapter. So we're going to close OpenCore Legacy Patcher, and we're going to update it the manual way. And now again, you don't have to do it this way. This is more of, I want to show you how the whole process actually works. So we're going to go to our downloads folder, we're going to open it up, and we're going to run this package installer. This process here is the same whether you're updating a previous version of OpenCore Legacy Patcher or you're installing a brand new version available. So we're going to run this package installer here, double click on it, and we're going to run through this process. And you can see this new install OpenCore package installer title screen. This package will install OpenCore Legacy Patcher 1.5.0 on your system. Additionally, a shortcut for OpenCore Legacy Patcher will be added to the application folder. That does not change. The package will not build and install OpenCore or install any root patches on your system. Now that's important to know, because if you install this, it might look like, hey, you're doing the whole thing. But the reason why it doesn't do that is that if you want to install OpenCore on a newer version of your main computer, for example, let's say a 2019 MacBook Pro, you don't want it to install the patches on that system. You might just want to create a USB installer on that newer system. So that's why that does it that way. It just installs the app and all the files for you to be able to work with the application. We talked about the files installed. It installs the app in Dortania in the application support folder and the privilege helper tool. So let's click continue and install. We'll type in our administrator password, and there's the installation. We're right in the files. Now, if you had your application previously in applications, that's fine, because the package installer will overwrite that and put it as the alias. So we'll click on O, and we can see that with the little arrow, and maybe I'll change it to our icon so you can see that a little bit better. You'll see our arrow here, that's for our alias, and you can right click on that and show original. It'll bring you to the Dortania folder where the application is stored. If we move back to a list, we can see that that was updated today at 1:24 p.m. Now that the package installer is finished, this thing is ready to go at 1.5.0. So we can go back to our applications folder, and we can double click on our alias and start the 1.5.0 application. There it is, all installed. Now that we have that process complete, wonder if you wanted to uninstall OpenCore Legacy Patcher. Let's show you how to use the brand new uninstaller next. Now that we have the brand new version of OpenCore Legacy Patcher installed via the new package installer, let's go over how to uninstall OpenCore Legacy Patcher on your system with the brand new uninstaller. Let's use that same example of your 2019 MacBook Pro that you have, that you are using it to just create USB installers, and you don't want that on your system anymore. This is really only for the uninstallation of the application on systems that are not patched, if that makes sense. If you have any questions on this, let me know, but that's the understanding. If you want to remove OpenCore from your patch system and you want to go back to High Sierra, for example, you're going to be erasing the drive. There's no downgrade, for example. So OpenCore Legacy Patcher is going to be removed anyway by erasing your drive at the top level. It'll remove EFI, it'll remove all those pieces. So let's say we wanted to remove this from our system. Now keep in mind, this is a patch system, but I'm going to reinstall it back on here anyway. And the current uninstaller does not remove the EFI or any of those pieces from the system yet. That's for a future version of the installer. All this will do is remove the files from the system. So now let's go in. So basically it's not going to remove the patches for the EFI Boot Loader, and it's not going to remove the root patches from the system. It just removes the app and all of its associated launch daemons, files, and helper tools. So now let's open up our OpenCore Legacy Patcher asset section, and we're going to download the uninstaller package. And there it is. Let's click this. And before we do this, I love this icon, by the way, and I can't believe Makola actually used it. We joked around about what to use for this. Use a trash can. I said, you should use the actual Mac Pro trash can. I can't believe you used it. That's so fun. Okay, so, so let's open up all of our file locations, and we will show this in action. First of all, we're going to open up our applications folder. We're going to see our alias disappear. We're also going to go into our library application support, and we're going to see our Dortania folder here. We're going to see that disappear. And we're going to see our privilege helper tool that is located in the library. Privilege helper tools disappear. And we're going to do one more folder. We're going to show our launch daemons and launch agents in library. Launch agents. There's our OpenCore, and we're going to do one more for our launch daemons, library launch daemons. These are run every time you start your system. All of the folders that contain files that are going to be removed with the uninstaller. So we're going to keep them open, so when we're done, all these should be removed. So we're going to click on our installer. So basically, What this does is it tells you exactly what it does right here, like we talked about. This package will uninstall OpenCore Legacy Patcher application and its helper tool from your system. This will not, as we talked about, remove any root patches or OpenCore configurations that you may have installed using the OpenCore Legacy Patcher. So let's click on Continue and Install. Administrator password. Done. We will keep that and we will check our folders now. So first we'll check our applications. Our alias is gone. Our privileged helper tool, gone, empty, done. Our launch agents, gone. Our launch daemons, gone. And our Dartania folder where the application was living is now gone. And this is loaded in memory. We'll just quit that and it's gone forever. You're not going to be able to open up. So even if we click on our alias, it now turns to a question mark. It is gone from our system. Our EFI partition is still on that system. So we can actually look at that EFI partition and we can show you that those files are still there to be able to boot this system. So let's open up our terminal and we're going to run a couple commands to be able to look at that EFI OpenCore folder in our EFI partition. Disk util list, and then we can see which is our identifier for our EFI partition. And it is disk 0s1. Command is going to be sudo diskutil mount dev disk 0s1. We'll hit enter. And there's our EFI partition. We can open this up and we can see inside EFI, there's our OpenCore is still on the system with all of our files. Now what this is done here is, again, left the root patches and our EFI Boot Loader for OpenCore on the system, but it removed all the application and associated file locations. Because remember, just trashing the app isn't going to remove OpenCore. It's still in library launch daemon, it's still privileged helper tool folders. That's the beauty of this brand new uninstaller. It works really well for removing OpenCore and all of its associated files from your system. Nice work. Okay, now we're going to go over our lab systems to make sure everything's running okay with 1.5.0 and the latest updates for Sonoma, which is 14.5. Our first machine up is our mid-2017 15-inch MacBook Pro, and this is one of the newest that is not supported by macOS Sonoma, and it has the T1 security chip and the Touch ID that we have to factor into this. We're running 1.50, 14.5, and we install the legacy GCN graphics, modern wireless, and T1 security chip. Everything for the installation ran perfectly, and Touch ID is working. Everything's working great on this system. Next up on the list is our Retina 15-inch mid-2014 MacBook Pro, and the reason why we picked this is because this is running NVIDIA Kepler and it's running our Intel HD 5000 graphics. I have this picture up here because if you get this system extension updated message that is normal for this device, we have our NVIDIA Kepler, Intel Haswell, modern wireless, and our PCIe FaceTime camera, and we're running 14.5 and 1.5.0. The installation went excellent, no issues whatsoever. Next up is our late 2013 Mac Pro Cylinder 6,1 trash can. On this system, we're running at 14.5 and 1.5.0, and we are installing AMD Legacy GCN and modern wireless. This machine patched with no issues whatsoever and is running just fine. Next up is our late 2012 Mac Mini. This is one of the oldest Macs that is a metal compatible graphics card. It is running also just an Intel Ivy Bridge, and I put this one up here again because we are running the HD 4000 graphics and we can get the system extension updated message. We're on 14.5 and 1.5.0 updated just fine with no issues. The system's running great. Alright, next up is our late 2011 17-inch MacBook Pro. We're starting to get older here, and now we are into the non-metal GPU territory. On this particular Mac, we've got AMD TeraScale 2, Intel Sandy Bridge, modern wireless, and legacy keyboard backlight patches. We're running 14.5 and 1.5.0. This machine in the past has had problems with the login window crashing. There was no login window crashing after this update, and this machine is running well. Up next is our 5,1 mid-2010 Mac Pro tower. This tower is upgraded with a modern wireless card and a modern wireless Bluetooth card and a metal compatible graphics card, Kepler based. And this is running very well with these upgrades. And for our graphics, as we said, NVIDIA Kepler, and instead of legacy wireless with the built-in wireless, we now are using the modern wireless patches, and we are also having to use legacy USB 1.0. Once we get back to 2010 and older systems, and I've mentioned this before, the installation environment in recovery and after you install a macOS update, the keyboard and mouse are not going to be working on these systems. Make sure you have a USB 2.0 hub that you can plug in, and keyboard and mouse. Or I use the 2008 Apple branded keyboard because that has a USB 2.0 hub inside it and is fully compatible. And that's what I use to be able to control these systems. This update went excellent with 1.5.0 running 14.5 Sonoma, and we're good to go. Okay, last but not least is our good old trusty 13-inch polycarbonate MacBook from mid-2010. This system is running 14.5. It is on 1.5.0, and we installed NVIDIA Tesla, modern wireless, and legacy USB 1.1. The install went a-okay, no problems, and this system is running really well for being all the way back, almost now 14 years old. Alright, so I was immediately going to go into Ventura, Monterey, and Big Sur, and then recognize that I forgot to bring up a big problem that users already have been reporting, but I haven't really talked about, and that is automatic updates. In macOS, the default for software update is to download the updates, not install them, but download them. So to change that, go into General, go into Software Update, and look how Sonoma is in here. We don't want to install Sonoma right now, and we don't even want to install it through Software Update anyway. That is not the proper way from Ventura to Sonoma to be able to install a new upgrade to a newer version of macOS. So you don't want to do it this way. You want to be able to build the installer USB with the OpenCore Legacy Patcher application and upgrade that way through recovery. Now, to prevent that, you need to click on this little information circle in here and turn off download new updates when available, because what's going to happen here is it's going to try to download Sonoma and kick off the patcher, which will recognize that there's a OS being downloaded for upgrade, and then try to download the kernel debug kit associated with that update. So we don't want that to happen. So turn that off. Then it will only check for updates, but will not download. So keep this off, and obviously keep off install macOS updates too, so you can control when the updates are installed. The other problem is that to get to the Ventura update, you got to scroll all the way down here, and you'll see a little thing here, other updates. It'll be a little thing you got to click like this. Apple makes it such a pain in the butt to stay on the old operating system. They really want to push you to the new version. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about Ventura. Our demonstration Mac for macOS Ventura is a Retina 15-inch mid-2015 MacBook Pro. We have 1.5.0 and the latest Ventura security update 13.6.7, and we have for our graphics AMD Legacy GCN and our dual graphics card with Intel Haswell. Everything went good on this update to 1.5.0. Now on to our good old trusty macOS Monterey on our 15-inch early 2013 MacBook Pro, running NVIDIA Kepler and Intel Ivy Bridge. We're running 12.7.5, the latest release of macOS Monterey, and 1.5.0. The installation went a-okay, no issues whatsoever, and we're good to go. Last but not least is our old trusty Big Sur installation on our late 2011 non-metal graphics GPU 15-inch MacBook Pro. We are running 1.5.0 and 1.7.10, which is the final macOS Big Sur update. It is no longer being updated by Apple, so it's not supported at all. There's no more security updates being released for Big Sur. On the patches, we've got the AMD TeraScale 2, Intel Sandy Bridge dual GPU, and Legacy keyboard backlight. Everything installed great on this Big Sur machine, and it's working very well. To get started, I wanted to quickly give a huge shout out to all of the developers that make the patcher work. The co-developers Dina Kay and Makola have put together an absolutely amazing team of developers that work on their own time through the open source and outside of the normal work hours. The amount of work that these guys put into this is absolutely amazing. From all the work that Spoiler does for the patcher, including hours and hours in the Discord chat from a
Sentiabot to Edu Kavas, who work on the legacy patch set, the developers who are responsible for keeping our non-metal 2011 machines that are oldest in the fleet still running. That is so important. To Jasny, who puts in a ton of work into the patcher. All these people help make this work, and if you have the means and you would like to be able to give back to the team, the OpenCore Legacy Patcher Open Collective is the way to do it. You can contribute here as over 83 different hardware models to keep the developers' fleet of Macs running, to be able to test all these different hardware models. So thank you again to all the OpenCore Legacy Patcher developers, and you, Makola, for the hours and hours of you and I being able to talk about this. I can't tell you how much you and all of the users appreciate you.